In the past, I've talked about the various different types of Betamax machines that Sony has. This is the flagship of all of the consumer level Betamax machines that Sony made. And this one here it's almost at a professional level. Actually, it is at a professional level. This is the SLHF 1000. You notice something special on this one. Super high band, 6 megahertz Beta 1S. What that signifies is that this machine has 3 speeds. It's got Beta 1, 2, and 3. But it has Beta 1S and Beta 1S HB, super high band. There were other Sony Beta machines that featured Beta 1. They were some of the industrial machines. The earliest machines were Beta 1, but they were low band machines. When Super Beta was released, they came out with Beta 2 and Beta 3S Super Beta. With the, I'm trying to remember the model, I believe it was the SLHF 750, they reintroduced Beta 1S, which was a high band version, the same high band version that the Beta 2 and the Beta 3 speeds used. The SLHF 1000 has one additional mode called Super High Band. So it's not just Beta 1S, it's Beta 1 SHB. Inside here there's a little switch. Here it is. I'll show you. Beta 1, super high band on and off. There's Beta 1S, which is your standard Beta 1S speed, which was compatible with machines like the SLHF 750, the SLHF 2000, which was one that was actually produced after this, but it had the Beta 1S speed on it. And then there was Beta 1 SHB. Now the Beta 1, even the Beta 1S speed was not compatible with the older machines. All of the older Sonys had the ability to play back Beta 1, but not Beta 1S. Only the 750, the 2000, and the 1000 would play back Beta 1S. SHB was one step further, higher frequency still. This was the greatest beta editing deck that Sony made. If you had 2 of these machines, which I have 2, you could accurately edit down to about 2 frames. Plus or minus 2 frames either side of your edit point. Actually, I think it was plus or minus 3, so it's like 1.5 frames either side. Accurate editing, not time code, but close enough. Control track editing, where it actually count the control track. It had a program, an 8 program event editor, as you can see here. We've got 8 program event editor, so you could program in 8 assemble points on your master tape, and the machine would fast forward and rewind and put those recordings in order on the copy. You could also title insert and edit full audio and video. If we open up the little door here, you'll see here's your edit controller. It's built in. You've got assemble and you've got insert editing and title insert. It has a crude titler in it. You could mark and erase index points. This is actually an index point that is recorded onto the control track. So you could search things out. You could mark individual edit points on the control track and go back and find them later. Very good machine. Wonderful machine. Best machine Sony ever made. Only one little problem. It's broken. My other one works. This one doesn't work. Let's see if you guys can figure out. I know what the problem with this is, and I'm going to fix it. But let's see if you guys can figure out what the problem is just from the symptom. If I press the power button, note what happens. You notice that? It thinks the machine is turned on. We do not have a power light. Any guys care to guess what the problem is? That's the problem. STK 5450 or 5441. This is similar to the problem that the JVC that I repaired earlier in the year. It was an STK 54, I think it was a 5481 in that other machine that went bad. This one's a 5441. I just happen to have another Betamax machine that is not a hi-fi machine. It's actually one of the other machines I repaired. It was the, I think it was the SLHF R50 maybe? Yeah, the SLHF R50. The one I repaired on an earlier video where I changed the drum motor that was bad. I did 2 of them prior. I had one that had a bad head and I had one that had a bad drum motor. And I picked apart a third one to get the head out of one, to fix one machine, and get the drum assembly, or get the motor assembly out of the other to fix the second one. Well, it just so happens to have that part in it. So, because the other one's just a standard Betamax, it's not a hi-fi machine, it's not a real high-end machine, I'm going to sacrifice that machine. It's one of my own anyway. I'm going to sacrifice the parts on that one so we can get this one going, because I really do want to have this machine working. And I do have a pair of these, so once I get this one working, we'll do a video that I will hook the 2 machines together with the special connection cable and show you guys how these things will edit themselves. This was the ultimate for consumer, well, this is actually a pro machine, but this was the ultimate for editing decks. It had the controller and everything built in, and when you see them operate together where they're actually queuing each other up and both machines are pre-rolling, like when it makes an edit, both the recorder and the player roll back 5 seconds and they pre-roll and do an edit just like that. It's really kind of cool to watch these things when they're working. So let's get the top off this thing and get that regulator changed and see if that fixes this problem. Look at the guts of this machine, it's beautiful. You notice, if you look at the top of the drum here, you'll notice there's a lot more hardware on here than on a regular machine. And the reason what this is this is actually the rotary transformer for the flying erase heads. This unit here has got your 4 video heads, 4 audio video heads, because it's an AFM system, so the audio is recorded along with the video. But it's also got dual flying erase heads, and this is the connector that connects, and they're fed in from the top. So for editing, so you can get that frame accurate editing, it actually turns the erase heads on and erases 1 frame at a time. And that's what feeds them. So that's part of the top drum assembly on this. Mechanism is really well built on these machines, as you would expect for a machine that cost the kind of money that these ones cost. And these were not a cheap machine. These were an expensive machine. $2,500, $3,000, somewhere in there. I paid a lot of money for these. It was part of my beta editing package when I was working with beta. I actually had, well, you saw one of the beta movies that I had, but I had another beta movie. I had the BMC 1000, which recorded in that beta 1 super high band when I was working with this type of beta. And then I went to Betacam for a while and then upgraded to digital. If we look back here, the regulator is located at the back of this one. And as you can see, the nice pink goop around here, that's because this has already been replaced once. And this is the second time this regulator has failed on this one. So we'll be changing this regulator again and see if we can get this one working. That was quite a common problem. These regulators were not great parts. They're not the most reliable part ever made. I guess that has something to do with the fact that the manufacturer that made the parts, Sanyo have never been known for really turning out high quality parts or components, but that's what it uses. And I would imagine that these parts are probably getting to be pretty rare these days. I haven't priced out a new one because I have one. Okay, so we get the back cover off it here, and there's a cover that goes on that regulator. We're just going to undo that cover here. And that takes off the actual metal clamp that holds the regulator tight up against the heatsink. Take the clamp out, take out the screws, and I think see how I gotta get this out of here. I gotta take this whole board out of here if I'm not mistaken. This whole power supply lifts out so that I can unsolder it. Should be 1 or 2 screws here, 1 screw there. I believe there's 1 more over here, 1 or 2 more. There's 1 here for sure, 'cause it's got an arrow on it. And there's probably 1 more down here. Cobwebs in here. It's been sitting in storage. This unit has been down for probably 25 years. Been a long time since this one's run. Because I do have 2 of them. The other one I've been using like for transferring the odd beta tape over. The other one's actually inside my cabinet inside the house, and it's hooked up. I don't leave them plugged in though now. I keep them unplugged when I'm not actually using them, because that's usually what kills these regulators, is power surges. So I've learned, don't leave equipment plugged in if you're not actively using it. I unplug it, that way if a power surge happens, it's not going to blow anything up. Anyway, I got to take this heat sink out now, I believe, so I can get at the regulator to remove. There should be 2 more screws, and then this heat sink should lift away, and I'll be able to unsolder the part. Maybe not. Oh, 1 more screw. That's what I'm missing. 1 more screw in the corner here, another arrow mark screw, and now I should be able to lift this board with the heat sink. Should be able to lift this up out of the way, and we'll be able to unsolder the blown IC. It's kind of awkward to work on, but there it is. There's the IC I have to take out. Get the solder work out, remove that, and get the new one installed. Gee, look at that quality soldering. Whoever did that did a really good job. Look at that, beautiful. Gee, that must have been me. It was me. I was the last one to work on this machine, and that was back when I was in the service business. So, in fact, I'm the only one who's ever worked on this equipment. This being my own personal deck, along with the other SL1000. Get the soldering iron out here now, and we'll get that IC removed. Yeah, I'm looking down on the board here, and it just kind of confuses me as why this has been bridged over here. I don't know if that was a mod or whether that was the testing before to try and make it work. But there's a bridge put on here. Looks like there's another jumper that used to go from there over to here that's been removed. So I put that back the way that it was, because it looks like there's a jumper that was removed right there, and there was a solder bridge. So I'm not quite sure why that was there. Either it was a modification that was done, or it was done for testing 25 years ago, and I left it. But we'll put that back the way it belongs. We'll just take this out now, change that IC. Just gonna look at the top side of that board and see. Like there was a jumper. Looks like there was a jumper removed. But there was definitely a jumper in there at one time, and that jumper is going back in. I don't know if you can see it, but on the bottom of the board here, there was one time there was a jumper that went right from here to here, and that jumper has been removed, and it was bridged from there to there. I don't quite know why that was done. I don't remember doing it, so it may have been a modification, or it may have been a part that was changed. It may have been the part number was changed. We'll put it back the way the jumper should be on the board and put the new part in. For all I know, that could have been why the new part failed. It may have been, I don't remember, but it may have, one of the regulators may have gone down in this thing, and because these regulators typically got 2 or 3 switched power supplies in them. One of the outputs may have failed in the past, and I needed to get the machine working for a quick project. So it may have been in the past that I bridged 2 of the power supplies together and forgot about it, and then changed the part. And of course, the 2 circuits are running off of 1 transistor, would have overloaded it and burned it out. So that may be why the new part went bad. So we'll put this back the way it's supposed to be, because we don't want to burn out this replacement part. These parts are getting really hard to get. So the last thing we want to do is have an unauthorized modification that could damage the component. Okay, you got the new IC mounted. We'll just tack it in, and then we can clamp it back in place and put some heatsink compound on. Let's get some solder on here to hold it in place. Okay, we've got the IC mounted. Now I should be able to just put some heatsink compound on here and mount it back up against the IC. Get the old one out of here first. So we'll just get the good old heatsink compound, mix it up a bit here. And we'll just put a nice even coat on the back of the heatsink. Now we can just remount the heatsink. I have to put the bracket in front of it here to squeeze it together. So there's the where the magnetic screwdrivers come to an advantage, so you can seat things like this, and the bracket top goes back in place, and any luck, the screws will just screw right into it like that. Torque it down. And now I have to remount the board. A couple more screws to mount the board down to its bracket. Then we can remount the entire power supply, and we're that much closer to being able to test the unit. Okay, that's in place. Now we can drop the whole power supply back in. The nice thing about these Sony, especially the Beta machines, they were really well built for servicing. You know, some brands of equipment, I know I've bitched about this in the past, some equipment was just built like crap as far as serviceability goes. You can always tell well-built equipment because it's designed to be maintained. Boards that tilt out and are on hinges, and wires that are long enough to allow you to do it. It's nice when you get a well-designed machine. It really makes your life easy as a servicer when you can just do stuff like that and everything just comes apart and everything just goes back together really easy. Companies that did very good at engineering, like the old Sony stuff, it was designed for ease of service, and these things were designed to last a long time. Many of these SL1000s were used in small cable stations that wanted the quality. They were looking to get close to broadcast quality, but they weren't ready to say go full Betacam. So they went with the industrial Beta systems, which is what this was, and these machines were built well. They were built to be running every day, you know, all day long. I'm just looking to make sure that there's no screws that are missing. And now the moment of truth. When I press the power button, did I fix it or didn't I? I would have to say I fixed it. We have our display lighting up here, our VU meter lighting up. I just happen to have a tape that says visuals in Beta 1. So let's just see if this thing will load. The classic little switches are bad because it's been sitting so long. Let's see if we can get this thing to. Very common problem on these machines, the little mechanical switches, because it's been sitting so long. So what we're going to have to do is I'm going to take the front loading mechanism apart. We got the power working on it now, so we're partway there. I'm going to have to, there's a couple of little switches in here that give us trouble. A little leaf switch that detects when the tape is pushed in. I can probably trick it into thinking the tape's gone in. See if it will take the tape by just shorting these two pins together like that. Okay, as you can see, it's just a little switch that's on this plug. There's a little leaf switch. I'll show you where it is. There's a little leaf switch right down here. There's a little switch. It's on the end of this wire. When you push the tape in, it makes a connection to tell it that you've pushed the tape in, and what happens is the contacts get dirty. And when the contacts get dirty, it doesn't signal the machine. So what I did to force the tape to go in is here's a connector that it goes to here. I just shorted the two pins here that are the plug here, these two end pins. Short those together, that closes the switch. Thinks the tape's gone in. Let's see if it plays. Now this machine has not been turned on in many years. I wouldn't be surprised if the heads are all contaminated and stuff on this thing, but we'll see whether we've got anything on here or not. We have a picture, not a very good picture, but we do have a picture. You can see how fast this tape's turning. This is in Beta 1, and it might even be in Beta 1S. So let me just turn on Super Beta, Beta 1S. Yeah, it's got a picture, not a good picture, but we'll work on that. We'll just rewind this tape back. Was that beta 2 or beta 1? That's beta 1, yeah it is. We'll just rewind this tape back. Here's at the beginning. So we have a starting point on the restoration of this machine. The picture, as I say, it's not good right now. We're gonna have to get it a lot better than that. I'm not even so sure that this tape is any good. This is a tape that is at least 30 odd years old. I should try playing this on my other machine that I know works, but we're getting there. I think probably what I should do is I should probably just let this machine run for a while and just let all the let all the components warm up, take a charge. The capacitors and stuff have been discharged for so many years on this thing, and the bearings probably need to work their way in because it's been sitting for so long. Definitely looks like we need to clean the heads on this thing. Checking some of the switch settings here. I forget how this thing works. It's been so long since I've used this. See, the picture it's getting better as it's running. It's starting to improve. We'll clean the machine and see what it does. We'll go back and we'll eject the tape here, and we'll see how it ejects. Okay, just gonna clean the heads on this thing and we'll try it and see if it's any better. As usual, we'll use the paper, the paper to clean the heads, like I always do. It's the safest way to clean your video heads. You certainly don't want to be sticking a Q-tip or anything in here on the video heads, and we'll just turn the drum. And give it a good cleaning, and we'll use a Q-tip to clean the control track, linear audio, and erase heads, full track erase head. So on a beta machine, the audio head is down here, bottom portion of its control track, top side of it is the audio head, and the audio erase head is next to it. Full erase head is on the back side of the drum here. Pinch roller. A little bit of dirt on here. We'll just try this tape again. Again, I have to force it to load by putting a little short on the plug, because it's not going to go in on its own unless I do that. And it's still not playing properly, so I'm going to go grab a different tape and see, maybe it's just this tape that's no good. Oops. I guess I need to plug this thing in for that. There we go. So that it knows the tape. So we'll grab another tape and we'll try a different tape on it. So I found another tape, and we'll try this tape out and see how well this one plays. This one actually plays fine. If you guys remember the Rogers Pass video that's on my channel, this was a tape that I found. I have no idea where this came from. If you notice the video, when there's a problem, there was the head switching point is drifting through the raster. I think this was a tape that was given to me, and it was a copy of a tape that someone made at one point, and the copy guard that they used caused that type of influence on the recording on playback. But as you can see, it's playing that tape fine. Let's grab another beta tape. I've got a bunch of beta tapes around here. We'll see what the next tape looks like. So now it's looking like that first tape I just tried to play is the one that's at fault. Well, I found another tape here, and I'm going to play this for a minute here. This is a little bit of history, American history. Anybody, if I mention the date that this was recorded, and this was just a newscast, but October 17th, 1989 was when this was recorded. The event happened about just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and a lot of people may, well, if you're old enough you'll remember this, if you're young enough you won't remember it. I'll just let this play out as it goes here, so you'll probably remember this.
The top story of the double-decker roadway crumbled, as this eyewitness explained last night.
We were about 20 cars away from the incident, and we thought that our limousine was on flat and started shaking from side to side. And then all of a sudden I realized that it was an earthquake. And I didn't realize we were so close to the collapsing of the bridge. And all of a sudden we saw that the bridge had collapsed right before us. And we were very nervous, but Jonathan prayed.
Now that's the feed that was like that. The tape isn't like that. That was the actual broadcast. I guess this was done with home video.
So they immediately went over to the car. You see right there, they started videotaping. 2 cars fell into this bridge, and they almost...
So this machine is working perfect. This is a tape, again, this was recorded in 1989.
And it was kind of unbelievable. We couldn't believe he was doing it. I mean, he actually pulled all these people out.
So 16 or 26 years ago, almost 26 years ago, this tape was recorded. And it still plays. And that gives you an idea of how good
Did you see anyone?
Well, it was very ironic.
The beta format is.
These 2 cars that fell down was hurt. They weren't injured.
Fires which broke out after the earthquake are
There you
still
go.
burning in San Francisco. To make matters worse, firefighters have...
I should probably digitize this tape just for archiving, because of I was quite a news hound, and I recorded everything. I've got in my own collection of tapes. I have hundreds of beta tapes, probably between 500 and 600 tapes, many newsworthy events. I've got it. I've got the O.J. Simpson low-speed chase. I've got all the World Trade Center stuff. I was quite the news hound, and I recorded, because I was not only a news hound, but I was in the news business there for a while. I was a news gatherer, so newsworthy events interest me. Anyway, you can see that this machine is working, and that's going to finish this video, because I'm going to make another video when I take apart this mechanism, and we'll go through the and lubricate the machine, fix the switch on here. I got to take the whole front loading mechanism apart to get at that. So that is going to do it for this video for now, and hope you guys enjoyed the repair of the power supply on this beta machine. We will see more of this machine, and we'll see both this machine and my other twin of this in operation, showing the assemble, edit, and how it works on future videos, because I know you guys like to see the old beta machines in operation, and we got to keep these machines restored. Got to keep them running, because still lots of old tapes out there that need to be transferred over. We'll catch you in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you soon when we do the front loading mechanism. Bye for now.